was like something in the connection, but it is okay. Thank you for all the work you are doing with Toolbox, and thank you for the invitation also. And I would like to start this AYMT certification for directors, saying what is, in my mind, the most important thing that you need to understand. By you, I mean all the people that is in this class attending. And the first thing that you need to understand is that you cannot be an adventure, pathfinder, or master guide club director without praying. So that's something that you have to understand, and it is the most important thing. In the good times and in the bad times, you need to pray, you need to be connected with God, and He can make possible everything. I always like to say everything is possible if you pray in the morning. For directors, that's true. You can have the most amazing club in the history of your church, the largest club, or whatever you want to have, but you will not have it without God. So please understand that principle. No matter what we say in the next 8 seminars, keep that in mind. So with that said, I would like to share with you some principles related to camping and camp out. So principles that you need to consider when you go for camping, when you are planning a camp out, and that, you know, sometimes nobody else will see because you are the director, you will be the director. And this is something, that's a hat that only you will wear and you will understand. So the key text is, the angel of the Lord encamps all around those who fear him and delivers them. This is really important also. You are not alone. Yes, something that sometimes the directors feel is that they are alone, that they are fighting against everybody, parents, kids, counselors, everybody, or they feel alone because they feel like there is a lack of help, assistance. Well, you are not alone. God is with you and He's around your camp. Everything is possible if you pray in the morning, okay? Let's go with some principles that you have to consider always. The purpose of this workshop is basically to survey the camping, to check what are the things that you need to consider for every activity, especially campouts. And basically you have the 3 S: safe, special, and successful. By the way, I didn't prepare this presentation, but I checked it and it's really good, so we will stay with it. And we had to consider these 3 steps: safe, special, and successful. And I will talk a little bit about the 3 sections in the next slides. And but those 3 are basically the main concept that you need to understand. Playing with curriculum, that's part of the successful, basically. You had to be safe, you had to make it special. By the way, that's a complaint that we often hear from the pathfinders or club directors, or things like we always have the same camp. Year after year, we go to the same place and we do exactly the same thing in friends and in guide and all in the middle, in between. And it is exactly the same place where we went with adventures, and exactly the same place where we go with TLTs. So make it special, and by special it can mean change the location or try to think in new ideas, and I will talk a little bit more about that. And successful basically is you have to get something from this. Every activity in Pathfinder Club should be related to curriculum, to AY, basically completion. So everything that you are planning for that weekend should be related to AY also, should accomplish anything, some things in AY. So objective of camping, Pathfinder and staff grow closer to God and each other. This is important. So connect with God and connect to each other. These are memories that the Pathfinder will keep forever. So that's why it's so important to plan. You will have families and kids that are in Pathfinder just because the camp out, just because the camporee, and you know that this is true for, as we mentioned, the famous camporee, international camporee in Oshkosh. There are some clubs that just will get together to go to the camporee. So that's why it's so important to make it special, and it is a good opportunity to do what you cannot do in a regular meeting at the church. So the goals to achieve the objective needs to be safe, special, and successful, as we mentioned before. Safety, cautions, intentional fun. This is the thing. You had to avoid the extremes. In one side, you have safety. So what is the most safety precaution that you can take is to stay at home, basically. And you don't want that because you want to go to the camp out. Even with the pandemic and everything we are suffering now, you want to go out. And the other side is, let's have fun, don't care anything. We don't care about, permissions. We don't care about parents. We don't care about risks. Let's have them, basically you want to avoid that. Usually the second extreme is related with the kids. The kids sometimes have crazy ideas or without, measuring the risks. And that's something that you have to understand and use your common sense. Make it special, newness that builds bonds, basically. I like when I bring a club to a camp out, I like to bring it to a place that is mostly when you're alone, in a place that is calm, that is quiet, that you can connect each other without a lot of distractions. If you put it in the middle of a park in a city, it will be super hard for them to connect with God and with each other, But when you're in the middle of the forest, it can be a private forest from someone that you know, around the campfire. Well, there is where things happen, miracles can happen, and the amazing memories will be built. So basically, try to surprise them, new things, keep something new every time, and avoid repetitions, year after year, the same spot, the same camping area, the same, trying to make it new. And success basically is Pathfinder curriculum accomplished, which is the goal also. You can accomplish more perhaps in a camp out in a weekend than in a month of regular meetings or 2 months. It depends how do you work that. Or also what you can do is, for example, teach the theory at the church in the regular meetings, and then in the camp outs do the practices, and then accomplish or close the requirements for the curriculum. Okay, let's go with camping basics. This is important. Know the environment. And you are the director, you should know a little bit of everything about this. Anyway, you should delegate also and trust in people. Something that it is super helpful for directors, it is to understand that they don't know everything about everything, but they should know a little bit about everything. And perhaps, for example, if you are going to a private field, for example, or a national park, why not? There is a ranger in the national park, and then the ranger will tell you, oh, try to do this, that, and you start arguing, no, I'm the director, so I know what I'm doing. Don't do that, because there is always someone that knows more than you or than me, and be patient, try to listen some other opinions, especially from local people, because usually they will know more about it, or people with more experience. So the weather more than the, yes, it depends on the season. If you are going winter, summer, every camp out is different. We were talking about different locations, but also if you go to the same place in winter and in summer and in spring and in fall, it will be a different experience. Even let's say you go 2 times in the same summer, if one time is not rain and the second time is raining, are absolutely different campouts. So you should be aware of the season, you know, the temperatures, the traditional forecast, and that's something that to keep in mind, especially in the last 2 or 3 days when the forecasts get more accurate. Then the terrain, you should know, do we have space for all the tents? It is a flat place, or it is a rough place that we need to prepare for the tents, or how is it? Then the wildlife, do we have the famous bears or not? If so, are we ready for that? Do we have the spray that we need? Does everybody knows what to do if they find, or if they have an encounter with an animal? So we had to be aware of that. And water source, that's also very important. Where are you going to get your water? Let's say you go to this amazing spot in the middle of the forest, so beautiful, like to take photos, make a video and everything, but you don't have water, and that's a problem. You can bring certain quantity of water, unless you have a tank or something important for your kids. You should consider this. Also remember, all the big cities in the world, or most of them, are built next to the water, and there is a reason for that. Know the supplies, the methods of food preservation. We'll talk a little, well, when we talk about food, waste disposal, first aid, sleeping warmth, some of these things you should know, but some others, if you prepare and if you train very good chef or cooker, someone that is in charge of your kitchen, usually those persons knows much more than the director, and you can rely on them. So I would suggest for you to do that. If it is a small club and you will be the person in charge of the kitchen, perhaps you can invite this. There are always parents that are willing to help and they don't know what to do. Well, you can perhaps train someone to be the head of the kitchen. So method of food preservation, do you have electricity or not? Can you, this is a whole honor in itself. Dig a hole or submerge it in water, or different kinds of food preparation. Sorry, preservation, I was reading wrong. Food preparation, keep it simple. Regarding that, keep it simple. Remember that all the kids are different, and you should be aware of different kind of situation, diets that they might have, and you have to be prepared for that too. But food preparation, be as healthy as possible. Even if the kids would like, the other kind of preparation, try to keep it simple and healthy. Methods of waste disposal, and here we are talking about garbage, but also going to the restroom, the bathroom. So if you're in a wilderness area, for example, you had to bring little shovels for everybody and explain how to do it, how to dig, how to cover whatever they are doing, and the distance where they had to go, far away from the water source. Especially, you should ask every state, every location is different in the rules. For example, here in Michigan, the distance should be no less than 100 feet from the water. And And I recommend the same thing from the kitchen. So make it far from the kitchen, but also you have to be sure that it is a safe place, because you will have kids going in the night to that place. So that's why you have to be careful, and you want them out far, but not so far. Also, what are you going to do with the garbage? I recommend always bring your bags and bring it back to the city. Never leave anything over there. So that's the safest way to do that. Method of first aid. Again, I would recommend for you, if you can access or invite a professional, a health professional, you should do that. Perhaps that person might not pay or something, the registration for the camp out, but that's always better than to do it yourself, unless you are a professional. But that will give you, like a peace of mind, and you will be fine. If not, you should take a Red Cross certification or something every other year, so you are well trained for first aid. Also, you should have a plan of contingency, to be ready. You are in the middle of nowhere, and you should know what to do if something happens. By the way, you are the director here, so let's pray for nothing to happen, but let's be ready for something to happen. So if something happened, you will see people crying sometimes, people shouting sometimes, people in shock sometimes, but you should be calm, you should breathe and open your eyes, think fast, and do something, because you are the director and you had to do it. So even to say, you call 911, you bring the car, you two help me, and let's carry this person to the hospital, something like that. So methods of sleeping and work, this is super important. It is an honor in itself. Again, I love this topic, and it is my expertise, but I will not spend a lot of time with this. Another time we can talk. But basically, a lot of kids abandon the Pathfinder Club because they suffer a cruel and really, really cold night in a camp out. Why? Because they didn't know. But I gave them the list. They don't follow the list many times. Or they bring the stuff in the list, but they don't know how to use it. So I know this is too much to ask, but you should do the extra mile and spend some time with the counselors and the kids explaining how to sleep warm. This is super important for them. So in basic, use the layer system, ask them to bring pajamas. If it's winter, they should bring a ski mask, something to cover their head, because there is where you lose heat. And also a second layer that will be a fleece blanket, something cheap, really cheap, and they will roll over in there. I mean, they will cover themselves with the blanket and then go inside the sleeping bag. That will be enough for most of the campouts, even with snow. If you are going to Canada or colder places, you should add a 4th layer that will be a second sleeping bag, but that's too much. For regular campouts, with the blanket, remember, the fleece blanket, that's a secret that it is magic. So pay attention to that, because many kids don't want to come back to Pathfinder or to a campout after they have a bad experience. Let's keep moving. No camping, campsite, slope rule. This is basically the inclination of the terrain. The best practice is to find a higher ground and a flat ground, but so many times that's not possible, especially if you have a large club, unless you go, to a soccer field or something that is super flat. But sometimes it's hard to find a flat place, so you will find a place with an inclination. And I have, this is for my kids. This is a tent, okay? In this case, a Lego tent, but it works. So let's say you have an inclination, and I'm exaggerating here. You don't put, you don't put the tent in this way or in this way, but you put it perpendicular, yes, and you lift a little bit the downside with clothes, with some other stuff that you can pack under your sleeping pad in order to nivellate, yes. But don't do it like this, otherwise you will wake up in the morning outside the tent. Don't do it like this, because you will be sliding the entire night, and that's a principle to remember. 100 yards cook-side rule. If you are in a bird area, you had to have 100 yards far away the cook side from the campsite, because the birds will go for the food, not for your tent. So that's a healthy principle to keep in mind. And also you had to hang the food storage rule. You had to hang it. Usually in national parks, they will have a place for that. If not, you had to find a branch and lift it. Not just the food, but also the trash every single day. So fire rule, don't play with fire. That's simple as it is. Don't play with fire. Fire is not a toy. It's not for kids to jump over. It's not for kids to, play like swords or things like that. You don't allow that. And in that subject, you had to be super strict, because I'm not saying that they don't need to start a fire or to interact with the fire, because they need to learn that. But one thing is for you to teach them, and a different thing is for them to be playing by themselves without supervision or without a purpose. So when we talk about fire, let's have a purpose, let's train them, let's teach them. I have 2 kids, one of 9 and the other one will be 7 tomorrow. And we have machetes at home, yes? And I teach them. When I'm with them, they can use it, and I explain every time all the rules over and over and over again. In that way, they are ready. They know how to shape the machete. They know how to use it, the angles, that nobody needs to be around, etc., etc., etc. But I'm with them, and I'm responsible for them. The same thing with fire. They can start a fire because I'm with them and I'm teaching them. They don't play alone. They are not allowed to play alone. Also, if you are going to do that, you should have a good relationship with all the parents and a written consent, perhaps in the registration at the beginning of the year. Let's go with the attitude. You need to be respectful. You are the director. Okay, so you are the last line of defense. You are the most respectful person. If you are not respectful, nobody else will be respectful. Also, consider this. You have to be friendly at the same time, but not so friendly that they will not answer to your command. Let me explain you how this works. For example, it is easy for me to identify a leader that it is kind of strong, if you want, from a leader that is not very strong, perhaps is too friendly. And let me explain how. It is super simple. In the camp race, you will see the people with the whistle. Sometimes the strong director will say a word, say a command, or blow the whistle and the cloud will answer, okay? But some other times you will see the people blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing, and nobody's answering, nobody's care, and everybody's doing what they want. Well, you had to find the balance. You had to have the authority and at the same time be friendly with everybody. So that's why this is super hard, and that's why you had to pray, and God will make it possible. So be ready. Ready for what? Be ready for whatever. You have to be ready for everything. For an accident, be ready for a discussion, be ready for a fight. So be ready for the worst, basically, and then you will be enjoying the best. That's a principle that you have to consider. So if you are ready for, that doesn't mean that you have to see a crime in every behavior, in every situation, in every interaction. No, 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 no. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you have to be prepared because, again, you are the last line. And if a counselor cannot manage a situation, they will go with you. If the chaplain, if the parents, if someone cannot manage a situation, they will go with you, and you have to be ready, okay, to have an answer. So think about it, pray about it, imagine situations. How are you going? And for that is very important, the training that we are providing. How are you going to react, for example, if you're in the middle of a camp out and start raining? You didn't expect that, the forecast didn't say anything, and the rain becomes a storm. What are you going to do? Or the most tough question that you will experience as a director, and this is historical and it's super tough, and it is, okay, let's say the camp out is from Friday to Sunday. Saturday, it is sunny. Sunday, it is sunny. And Friday, it is 50% of chances of rain. What are you going to do? If it's 55, and if it's 60, and if it's 65, that's the toughest question. That's why you had to be prepared. You had to pray. You had to talk with your team. Don't take just decision because you want to go for a camp out, and talk ahead of time of this. There are a lot of parents that don't care because they don't know that their kids will not die because they are wet a little bit, and it is part of fun. Some other parents will take out their kids from the Pathfinder Club because the director did something so crazy, like take them out for a camp out in the middle of the rain. So please talk with the parents, talk with your staff, with your team, and be prepared. Be ready for that decision. Risk management. Permission slips, you had to have it with you all the time and at home, a copy at home. Also, medical records, you had to have it with you and at home. And the medical records need to be with the person in charge of the first aid. If you have a professional, that person needs to have that. And I recommend you for that person to read it ahead of time before the camp out, so that person is aware if they have someone that is allergic, if they have someone that needs a medicine, something in the middle of the night. There are kids sometimes, don't expect that because they brought their pills, they will take it at 3 a.m. Perhaps you will have to put someone in charge and go and wake up that person and help them with that and things like that, you know. And the insurance is unique for every place, every conference, and sometimes the churches. So talk with the pastor of your church, talk with the elders in your church, the conference youth director, and be aware of the insurance, how the insurance works, what are the forms that you had to complete, in which cases, who should you call in case of something. Again, probably, and I'm pretty sure that God will make it possible for you not to use it at all in 99% of the campouts, but that one camp out that you needed, you should be ready for to have a reaction, you know, and to be familiar with the insurance. Let's keep moving. I don't know if we have, I saw some, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I saw some questions, chat. I'm sorry that I'm talking too much. I didn't ask any question. Let me check a little bit. You are talking about the worksheet. I think Cheryl is sending that. Welcome to the people that just start the meeting. The worksheet, well, people is asking for the worksheet to complete with the information we are sharing. Okay, I keep moving, people. Camp director, keep supplies clean, up to date. Yes, up to date and stored centrally. This is a lot of work. If you have a big club, this is a huge work, and you might have a staff, a person just for this, and it will be a lot of work. And I know it's not easy, but the best way to do this is as soon as you come back from the camp out, especially if you need help, let's say to dry out the tents because it was raining, or clean them right after the camp out. As soon as you get to the church from the camp out, that's the right moment, because in a week later, nobody can, or no, yeah, it will be very difficult. So as the sooner, the better. So store centrally, keep it clean. If you need to repair something, you have to do it as soon as possible. Don't wait, never wait for the next camp out to do it, because you will be running with other things and you will not have time for this. Keep a packing list for campers and campsite. Once you do it, you have to do a very good one, very specific, not longer doesn't mean better, very efficient, I would say, and try to adapt it for winter, for summer, and then you have to double check every time and make little edits, and you will be fine. And what I like to do, for example, with that list, when I know, because you had to plan ahead for the year, when you know where you're going, in which season are you going, more or less, you can give them the list at the beginning of the year, so the people had time, for example, to buy the equipment or to borrow the equipment. You know, if they don't have sleeping bags or whatever they need, they will have a lot of time ahead to prepare the equipment. Keep a budget and keep within it. Well, this is important also, especially if you want to survive with the treasure of the church. You cannot spend more than what you have, and that's a principle. And you have to be efficient, and at the same time, you have to spend the money that you need to spend, especially in safety. You have to be very efficient with that. When we talk about fun with the Pathfinders, let me tell you something, you don't need to spend more money. Yes, sometimes in our minds, I'm a parent, and sometimes you think, oh, I have to buy this and this and this for my boy to be happy. I went to run with them, with the two of them today. They were super happy. I didn't spend a single dollar, and so spend time with them, play with them, talk to them, share stories with them. They will be happy. Yes, for fun, don't get crazy about money. Keep a plan for transportation and food. This is really important, and you have to be really specific with this. I had to think when, where, how many. Those questions are really important, and you have to get familiar on the procedure. But basically, you have to be sure that the transportation has the permission to do all the transportation for minors. that it is approved by the conference, that have enough seats for everybody, that it will be at the time you need it, and for pickup and for to come back home for the return, and yes, that it is the transportation that you need, and the food also. You should be aware if there are allergies, if you need to buy special food for one of the kids. So those conversations you should have with the parents, with the kids, and with, if you have a chef, a cooker, also with that person. Plan for emergencies, as we mentioned before. Plan for relaxation, fun, and bonding. This is really important. The kids don't want to see a director that is running all the time, getting crazy, because the idea of the camp out is to enjoy nature, to spend time with God, to sit in front of the campfire and relax a little bit. So there are times during the camp out, especially at the beginning and at the end, where you had to, speed up and pressure a little bit everybody to but once all the tents are set, when the kitchen is set, when everything is ready, you had to relax and try to enjoy as much as possible. Open your eyes, pay attention to what's happening around, but also breathe. Remember that, you need to connect with God also, as well as everybody else. Plan for relaxation, we mentioned that. Plan for organizing, Pathfinder curriculum. This is important. You have to have a plan for activities. If you don't have a plan for activities, the kids will have a plan for activities. And you will not like that plan sometimes, So better if you plan ahead for activities. You have two opinions on this. Some people say, let's keep it simple, let's keep 1-2 activities a day and let them play. Some others go to the other extreme and they plan for every minute in the 24 hours of every day of the camp out. So you have to find a balance on that. Be efficient. If you did a good work in the regular meetings, you can practice in the camp out, and you can spend time also for fun and bonding. Safety. Keep campsite safe. There are honors that cover this from Adventist Risk Management. Plan ahead. Yes, if you don't plan ahead, that's a risky factor. So you should plan ahead for have everything you need. Let's say the tents should be in good shape. The kitchen should be in good shape. That's risky if, it's the kitchen fall or something. The kitchen, the stove, the gas, everything that you're using that could be risky needs to be checked before, ahead of time. And everything that comes to your mind that can be risky, you have to plan ahead. Let's talk about the geography, for example. If you go next to the river, for sure the kids will go to explore, and you should be aware of that, and all the staff need to be aware of that, and you need to talk before, as soon as you start the camp out, and during the camp out, telling them you don't go alone, explain all the measures. And I said river, I can say mountain, I can say many things. Caution with sharps, we already talked about the machete, the axe, the knives. Sometimes there are kids that go to the first camp out and the parents send them a bunch of things, including a knife, and they don't know what to do with the knife, so they start playing. Well, you should be ready for that and take care of that. Avoid danger areas, as we mentioned before. Seek windbreak and shade when you find the place for camping, and danger areas also. Try to avoid places that are low, that can be flooded, for example, or under branches, under big trees. There are some trees that will drop their branches, like eucalyptus, for example, because yeah, it is like, it's not because the tree is sick, it is just a way to, you know, that they have. If the weather is windy, for example, you will have more branches falling, and those kind of things that you have to pay attention. So windbreak and shade need to be two things to consider. Usually the forest is an amazing windbreak, and you have shade also, and the branches, well, that's something to consider. But the forest will control the wind and the temperature. You will always see that outside the forest, the temperature is lower or higher, but in the forest, the temperature is nice. Tents far from fire, that's another principle, that you have to keep the tents far away from fire. By the way, if you are doing a winter camp, the fire is not your friend. It can be nice for cooking, for warm up, just a little bit, but the best way to keep them dry and warm in a winter camp is to keep them dry, their clothes dry, so they should change everything before going to bed and keep their bodies warm. So they should do, you know, like a little jogging before, without sweating, but a little jogging before going to bed, so their bodies are warm, their clothes are dry, and they will sleep amazing. They don't need the fire. If they go to the fire, when they step away from the fire, they will feel really cold, and that's not good. Fire in contained space, firing is usually what we use here. If not, you should build your own fire ring to protect the kids. A fire ring is basically a container where you build a fire inside. You can make it with rocks, you can dig a hole. It depends the permission that you have in that place. Let's keep moving. Keep cook site. I'm sorry, this is a lot of information. We can spend a year teaching all this information. But please keep it in mind, these are general principles for you to understand and to put in practice in your local club. Keep cook site safe, plan ahead, as we mentioned. I like to make a perimeter around the kitchen, so you don't have kids, pathfinders running through, and that's very important. Be clean, yes, that's very important too. If you talk, or if you are training a cooker or a chef, please talk about that, because that's very, very important. Wash hands, especially now with COVID-19, it is a must, and for everybody, the people in the kitchen and the kids also. Keep drinking water safe, which means you have to close the bottles, keep everything, you know, in the shade, and keep it as clean as possible. Sometimes you will go to places where you cannot bring your own water, so you will use filters. That's a very good option also. And the best way to filter water are all the ways together, all the methods together. Let's say a little filter, boiling water, a drop of chloro, and things like that. So how to keep hot and cold? That's a good question for a chef. That's a good question for a chef. Keep activities safe. I will keep moving. Know the schedule, because you are the one that should do the schedule. Set up in daylight. That's the ideal, to set up in daylight. To do it in the night is possible, but it's not recommended, because usually when you do it in the night, you set the tent, and in the morning whoa, why we set it here if right there was a 100% better spot, and you had to move. And so better doing it in daylight. No playing with fire, we already mentioned that. Wear layers, coat and hat also for, we didn't talk about summer, but in summer they had to be protected also. A lot of people is not used to be aware and outdoors for 3 days. So you should be careful with that, especially with kids, for them to wear hats, you know, and sunscreen. Waterproof and bright colors. So it is easier to find them in the forest. That's very clever. Keep feet dry and comfortable. If you are planning a hike, the kids should bring extra socks so they can change the socks, let's say in the middle of the hike. When they get there, for example, change socks and come back with dry socks. That will prevent blisters. And comfortable, that's really important. When you make the list, tell them bring comfortable shoes. Some parents are so excited about the first camp that they will buy a brand new shoe, a hiking shoe for the kids. And sometimes those shoes are not comfortable, will make blisters because are too tight or something failed. So the most comfortable shoes are the better for hiking. Keep a safe eye on camp life. Anticipate problems if you see wild animals around. Let's say we were in Rocky Mountain National Park it was August, and we were camping in one side of the lake, and in the other side of the lake there was a bear walking. And we saw it, I don't know, half an hour, 1 hour walking in the other side of the lake. That was in the evening. The next morning we were taking breakfast, and I don't know, 15 feet apart from us, there was, I don't know, it was the same bear or something, but there was a bear, and nothing happened. It's okay. They are scared from us like we are scared from them, and they don't want to, you know, to deal with us. So the bear just walk away. But open your eyes, pay attention to what's happening around. If you have bees, if you have, I don't know, sometimes you will have cows or things or deers looking for food, or I don't know, many kinds of animals. So pay attention to that and anticipate problems. When we talk about camp life also, some kids know how to play, some others don't know how to play, and they are kind of rude. So open your eyes, anticipate problems. So before the problem happens, you should go take them apart. Let's say you had 2 kids, and take them apart, talk with them, pray with them, and open the umbrella before it's raining. So if you prevent, that's much better than if you had to react because the problem is already there. So look out for low-hanging dead branches. We already mentioned something about that. Look for hypothermia and dehydration. This is important. Something that I learned is that kids don't drink water. They don't, basically. If you put them Coca-Cola, they will drink it sometimes, but water, and that's exactly what they need in the outdoors, water, lots of water. So you should plan for them to have a time for drinking water, and you should check that everybody's drinking water. Hypothermia and dehydration are part of the same problem. Dehydration is related to hypothermia, to sunburn, and many other things, and exhaustion. So please be careful with that. Many of these kids are coming dehydrated from home already. So you should consider that. Perhaps they have a problem and you try to imagine what happened with you. They didn't drink water in the last 5 days. Look, plan for emergencies and the unexpected. have a contingency plan, an emergency vehicle ready. That's very important. Someone had to be with the keys in their hands all the time. And perhaps you can have an emergency schedule. So tonight, this parent will be in charge. Tonight, the next night, this leader will be in charge. So if you need to run in the night, somebody will be there. Have first aid kit and plan. Again, I recommend to bring a professional for this if you have access to one. And know survival techniques. Most of the accidents that you will have in a camp out will be minor accidents, so you will have time to or call 911 or bring the kid or the leader or the person to the hospital. But there might be some situations that you might need to use a survival technique. So be ready, not just for first aid, but for more complicated situations. And regarding survival techniques, well, I suggest for you as a director to complete one of the honors about survival. Let's plan a really bad situation. You are walking with the club in the middle of the forest and you get lost with the entire club. Well, we are working on an AYMT certification for survival instructor. But basically, there are basic things that you have to consider. One of the things is to stay calm, make a prayer, and breathe and think. Because in that way you will take better decisions. And then I will not give you a workshop of survival techniques right now, but basically you had to be safe and calm to take right decisions, and you had to talk with others. And the first step that you had to do is to admit that you are lost. Yes? Some leaders prefer to keep walking, keep doing things, keep moving, because they don't want to admit that they are lost. If you're lost, you're lost. If you have a problem, the first step to solve that problem is to admit that problem. Also, don't split the group. Don't send kids in every direction. Stay together and make a plan, okay? And that's just for one survival situation. You might have other situations that are coming. But again, I cannot cover everything. We can talk about that in another moment. Be prepared with campfire activities. Whoa, this is really important. There's always, and this is the special part of the camp out. This is something that you can, again, you don't need to be everything in the camp out. You are the director and you are coordinator of all the activities, but you don't have to be the one that is doing everything. So perhaps you have a parent that knows how to play guitar. Let's say guitar, let's say any other instrument, and that parent is willing to come to the camp out. He or she doesn't need to sleep at the camp out, just need to come and be at the campfire and the songs and the stories and invite other people. Yes, this is a good opportunity to share with other people, because if the kids will listen just to you all over again, they are used to you and perhaps they love you, I'm sure of that. But if you bring more stories, more people, it will be nice also, especially related to Pathfinders. Let's say you bring an elder that was a leader of Pathfinder clubs, things like that, or people that know how to connect with kids. That's also important. The best preacher of the world is probably useless in front of a Pathfinder club, because it is absolutely different. You can be an amazing preacher for adults and fail with kids, because the attention of the kids is short, and what what it is interesting for them is different. So consider that. Songs, stories, lessons, food, everything. And when we say food in special, we're talking about the extras or something, you know, unique. So many of them don't enjoy Sabbath, for example. So I suggest for you to make an amazing Friday night supper, an amazing breakfast Saturday, an amazing lunch on Saturday, and explain why this is so special. So pay attention to that, and try to focus on that. Lessons, stories, songs, food, have camping games and activities planned. Here are a couple of websites, but you can Google and you will find a lot of things. Try to stay safe with activities, and always bring extra. You know, because you can say, oh, we had to cover 2 hours. I will bring 10 games. Wow, 10 games is too much. Perhaps 10 games will last half an hour if the kids don't like them, or if the person that is leading doesn't know how to do it. So bring extra games and think if are feasible, think if you have everything you need ahead of time. And yeah, keep it simple. You don't need to spend a lot of money, just use your imagination. And for this too, invite someone else to lead the game, someone that has the energy, you know, to connect with the kids. Have a theme. So you had to have a plan. So part of the plan is to have a theme. Where are you going? So the special topic this weekend will be this and that. Will be, I don't know, discipleship. It will be preaching, sharing with my friend the word of God. So try to connect the activities you are doing somehow with that theme, and the sermons also with that theme. When I say sermon, I'm saying Pathfinder sermons, which need to be short. Finally, by the way, let me add something else special. Yeah, it is only one slide. I should be many. When you say special, for example, you can you should include surprises. Okay, surprises in the night, in the tents. Let's go for a night walk. Let's do something different. Let's invite a very, 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 very special guest. So try to be creative and be innovative in this, and safe also. But try to think out of the box for them to enjoy more. Let's say one night can sleep without tents. That would be another good option to explore. Now let's go to success. Basically, what we need to think now is we need to be aware. We need to be aware. We need to be aware of what are the requirements for every regular class, for every AY class. So friend, companion, explorer, ranger, voyager, and guide, all of them will need somehow camping skills 1, 2, 3, and 4, and also fire building and camp cookery, and one more from their choice. This means that you can teach all this, again, as I mentioned before, the theory right before the camp out, and for the camp out, you can do the practice. So they have the opportunity to do the practice. Okay? That includes, for example, plan a trip. Also, friend, companion, explorer, ranger, and voyager need to plan a trip, build 2 camp cranes, build a sink and wash area, build food caches to store food, you know, and to prevent bears to take it. Well, bears. I don't know if those will be good enough for bears. Build 2 camp cranes are basically to cook, to lift the pot or whatever you are using for the camp out. Plan the trip. To plan the trip, you can include them in the planification of this. Why not? A little bit sharing. It will be nice for them to know what's happening. Keep for yourself the surprises and the special activities. And dispose trash. Okay, they had to be aware of how to dispose trash. Fire building, friend, companion, explorer, ranger, and voyager. 1 match fire, that's an amazing trick that they need to experience, and that's something that you should learn. If my Pathfinder director doesn't know how to start a fire with 1 match, you are in trouble. You have to practice at home, alone, not with them, not in front of them, that's too late. Go at home, practice, build a fire without fuel, without extra fuel, just with natural sources. And also build a fire, the different types. Fire without a match. You can use, in the honor, it says 6 different ways to start a fire with a match. It can be a compass, it can be a flint match or steel match. It can be a battery also. It can be friction. You have different kind of ways to do it. I will recommend the magnifier. Yes, did I say magnifier or compass? Magnifier is the word. I recommend the magnifier. You just take a little branch, a thin and dry branch, cover it with grass or something really dry around, and point the light to the tip of the little branch. Had to be thin, and there it will create a cold, and that cold will you blow gently, and you will be able to start a fire. Weather fire, that's important. You know, I've been leading a Master Guide Club for many years now, and sometimes I was waiting for the raining day to do this. So we were waiting for the raining day, and the day that we have rain, we will go and do the fire under the rain, and for them it is amazing. For young people. For kids will be also interesting, but it might be a little frustrated. They will be frustrated if they don't know how to do it properly. So 1 match rainy day. I never heard about that one, but it works also. So again, you should remember, for some kids, you are their hero. So you should be super. Let me share with you an experience. My wife and I, we went to Norway as missionaries, and they asked me to, I'm sorry about this. They asked me to lead the Pathfinder Club in the boarding school where we were. And I, of course, accepted, and we start working. And the first activity we have, I took them to the shore of a lake that they have over there. And I put together, there were a lot of pines and it was super easy. So I put together a fire, and I told them, you know, I was 150% sure of what I was doing, okay? So I told them, if I start the fire with 1 match, you will come to all the meetings. If I cannot start it, we will close the club here. Imagine the eyes of those kids. They were, whoa. But again, you have to be 180% sure of what you are doing. Never say this if you are not. I was using pine needles. Pine needles have alcohol, so are super, super easy to start, are more easy to start than paper. So I was using pine needles, and I told them, this will happen. So I start the fire and they start clapping. Okay. For them was the amazing, and then never start coming. It was so nice, and they enjoyed so much. Not because because for them it was fun. You know, sometimes the kids get bored in the church because there is nothing exciting for them. Well, make it more exciting for them. They will enjoy it. But to do that, you have to be sure what you are doing, and you have to train ahead of time. For the Sabbath, friend, companion, explorer, and ranger, they need to learn or get object lessons from nature. Also, Sabbath school lessons, devotional, and 1 hour activity. Use them. They had to do it. So don't be everywhere. Don't need to be everywhere. Use what you have. They had to do it to complete their classes. So you are helping them and they are helping you. Let me check the time. 8:12. Oh, I had to, I'm almost finishing here. Tip from others. We are not the only ones who do this. So what can we learn from others? Sharing time. This is really important. So connect with other clubs. This is not a competition, okay? And my final thoughts, the angel of the Lord encamps all around those who hear him and delivers them. Yes, remember that, keep that in mind. Everything is possible if you pray in the morning, and God will take care of you and your club. The objective of camping is to grow closer to God, plan to spend time with God, okay? Time with God. So many kids don't have time for that because they spend all their time in front of a screen and they don't know. Let me share a last experience that I have. I was teaching camping skills 1 or 2, I don't remember. And I took a box of matches, basically, and I handed to one kid, and the kid didn't know how to use a match. So imagine the new generations we are facing. So please set time apart to spend with God for you and for the kids. And yes, don't start at the compound, start before. But during the compound, you should connect with God especially and help the kids to connect with God, because perhaps for them will be the best and only chance to connect with God in that way, you are allowing them to do. So yes, basically that was my presentation. I'm sorry it was kind of too long. I didn't ask many questions, but now it's time for Q&A, I think. If we have, let me see. They need some fun for sure. They need not some, a lot of fun. And let me tell you something else. A part of the camp out, I would suggest for you to always finish your regular meeting in the church with a game. Yes, so the kids will go home with a big smile and not with the burden of have homework from the club. So let them go home with a smile, and they will come back happy the next week. Not long at all. It was perfect. Thank you so much. Yes, a game indeed. Thank you. People, let's, I don't know, Eric and Cheryl, if we have time for a few questions, perhaps, or comments, or anything that you would like to change, or yeah. You are in mute, Cheryl.
Yes, we could go till 8:30 if people have questions.
People, now is a good time. There is a Q&A section outside the chat. It is to the right, and you can include your questions over there, and we will do our best to answer it. But again, if from everything I said, you had to keep something, is your connection with God. You cannot be a Pathfinder director if you are not connected with God. Don't even try, yes, because the task is impossible. And but with God, everything is possible. So keep that in mind. What about recommended sleeping arrangements? Well, sleeping, what do you mean by sleeping arrangements? You think to sleep in a winter camp, in summer camp, or we can talk about sleeping forever? There is a big discussion now, and I don't have a right answer for that. I guess every conference have the answer for that, which is regarding how to sleep. Do we have an adult sleeping with minors, or do we leave these minors abandoned at their own in the tent? So every conference will have a different answer, so that's a question that you have to ask them. But as a director, that's a question that you need to answer in consultation with your conference youth director. Regarding arrangement for sleeping, keep it simple, but you have to check everybody. They had to sleep warm and dry. That's very important. And if they can sleep clean, that would be awesome. But it depends where you are. What do you think camping will be with COVID? Ooh, this is the thing. I've been working a lot with master guides, and I love to do shelters instead of tents. So a tent is basically a closed space. But as you know now, people know that open space are much safer than closed space. So if you sleep in a shelter, if it's raining, or to an open sky, that would be awesome. And that would be amazing for Pathfinders. Then they walk away a little bit more from the libraries and walk into the forest again, like it used to be. How do you react to the wild animal attack? It depends how upset is the animal. Most of the animals, wild animals, will be scared from you. Snakes, bears, deers, everything. Because they don't want to deal with you. You are strange for them as they are strange for you. So they will walk away if you don't do something violent. They don't call it animal attack, they call it animal accidents or encounters, because an animal rarely will attack you without a justification. I mean, if you don't do that, for example, let's say you walk into a trail and you find out that you have a little bear here and the mother in the other side and you are in the middle, well, that's a situation. And you walk away slowly, and in that situation, you should have a bear spray and use it when necessary. But the best way is to avoid that. How do you avoid that? I walked for miles, more than 30 miles in a bear's area. What do? You talk. It's simple like that. I was saying, hello, little bear, hello, where are you? I didn't see a bear in 3 days, nothing. But the people that was walking quiet, they saw plenty bears. So it's up to you. You don't want to be there. You want to prevent, and it's very simple to prevent. If you are cleaning your camp out, if you hang your food and your trash far away from your tents, you will not have problems. Should boys be close to girls, etc.? Define close. I like to set tents for boys, tents for girls, and sometimes leaders in the middle or something like that. So to prevent. Anyway, the tents are so thin that you will listen everything in the night. If it's quiet, you will listen even the whispers. You will listen everything. So, and if they want to do something wrong, they will do it no matter what. You can put it 1 mile one from another, and they will find the way. So that's I suggest for order to separate girls from guys. Risk management guidelines. You have website with a lot of guidelines and training from them. We are waiting for them to develop an Aymt certification on risk management. But in the meantime, you have the Adventist Risk Management website is really good. So you can go and take a look and explore different topics. Also, there is an honor from Adventist Risk Management called Camp Safety and Peacemaker. Those are really good to prevent not just risk at campus, but also argues, discussions, situations where you had to intervene as director. Okay, I sent an email. I know who sent the email. Can you type the Adventist Risk Management? Sure, no problem. The Adventist Risk Management website is this. Oh, the birds. Yeah, you will not have problems with birds. Compound 1, 2, 4 is from friend to ranger. How to go about if Pathfinder only join as Voyager. Don't worry, if they join as Voyager, they should, camp out camping skills 1 to 4 needs to be, it is basically a must for everybody. If you are in Pathfinders, that's the basic. It's basically, as a leader, you have basic stuff, but as a Pathfinder, you should have camping skills 1 to 4. No matter if you are joining in Voyager or when, because if you are bringing them to a camp out, they should know how to do it. And that's the basic of the basic. So I recommend you, I know it's extra work and you can blend it perhaps with other requirements, but I recommend you to at least take a weekend with them and go through all the general ideas, especially about tents, about sleeping, about the equipment, the list of equipment for them to be ready. But yeah, camping skills 1 to 4 is the basic of the basic. Actually, when I teach it to master guides, what I do, and there are in internet some places where you can find that, I put together, because there are many repetitions on the requirements, so I put 4 columns and go through the requirements in a comparison. And then from there, which is the basic of the basic, I start building in backpacking, orienteering, and cooking and other things more or winter camping or survival camping and things more complicated. So then to arrange extra camping. I don't understand, Alex Jakes, wait. What is your question or what is your comment? Could you please complete the idea? We are fine and you are doing really well, and thank you for your time. We have the last 5 minutes for more questions. If you have any more questions, now is a good time. Last 5 minutes. Let me share with you my experience. I've been working with master guides, training future directors like for many years. And my specialty is survival, camping skills. For them to get the camping for 3. Sure, they will be happy. You can do camp outs with your unit without the entire club. And that would be, those campings are really good. Let's say if you go with your unit, and when it is a small group, you can do many more things. But yes, absolutely. Risk management website is up there. I just put it up there.
You sent it just to the panelists, Nestor.
Oh, all the panelists, sorry. So I'm sorry. Panelists, okay, there you go.
Thank you.
So yes, I'm suffering as you are, you know, in the pandemic and in the quarantine and everything. And I work in one of the things that I do is something called Master Guide Outdoors. You know, I have the t-shirt here. We go to national parks, special places to do expeditions with master guides, and people invite and friends. We invite people that is not Adventist, that will not go to a church, but will go to a national park with us, and we share a spiritual life. We connect with God over there. It is really nice. And but we cancel all activities this year until next year. I don't know, Cheryl, if we don't, oh, there are more Q&A, sorry. What about recommended sleeping arrangement? What do you think of camping, COVID, risk management? I sent an email. No, I think we are done with all the questions. I don't know, here, no camping in summer as they have 40 degrees temperature. Yes, Alex, do you need permission from parents to give medication? It depends where you are, which conference you are. That's a good question related to insurance, but I think so. I think you need a written letter signed by parents saying what is the name of the kids, the medication, when they had to take it, and everything. So you can help them. So I suggest for you to have that consent. Alex, you have been with us in many other seminars, and 40 degrees temperature is a lot, and I know what you are talking. Anyway, I know that in the same place where you have 40 degrees during the day, in the night you will have -0 temperatures. So it will be a challenge, perhaps not for pathfinders, but perhaps for master guides. It will be something interesting to do, to find a right spot when you have water, and you can try to, you know, do a survival expedition adventure. You have to be ready for that, but everything is possible. I mean, you can go to extreme places like the North Pole or Antarctica or the mountains, and the desert it is also a good place for expedition. Yes, you will survive, Alex. You no, you have to be. Of course, you will not survive if you are not well trained. If you train, survival is not about superhumans. It is about technique. If you learn the right technique from the right people, you will be fine. You don't need to be a superhuman. You will survive, Alex. Trust me. Recommend a medication come in the original prescription bottle. That's important also. Yes. I don't know if we have, I think we are done with the time. And you have been amazing people, all of you. Thank you for your question. Thank you for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed this presentation and you got good ideas to practice. Again, pray, use your common sense, open your eyes, pay attention, and breathe, and try to enjoy also at the same time when you are leading.
Thank you so much, Nestor. I hope folks can join us on Wednesday as we continue training club directors, future or current club directors. Yes, you'll get a replay video if you register or if you send an email to the URL that's in the chat room.
Thank you very much, people. God bless you all. Should I finish with a prayer, Shale?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's pray, people. Something that I like to do is to count. When I have a large group, I like to say, let's pray in 3, let's pray in 1, let's pray in 3, in 2, in 1, let's pray. Dear Father in heaven, thank you, Lord, because you are good with us, because you are giving us the opportunity, at least in our minds, to go camping again and to enjoy the amazing nature that you created. Help us to go back to the nature with our clubs. Help us to enjoy one more time of nature after the pandemic is over. So please be with us and be with every leader in this conference, in this video conference. Give them your Holy Spirit, give them your strength, patience, love, also everything that they need to live, and help them to be connected with you all the time. Because we need them, because they are important, and those kids need them more. So be with them in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
God bless you all. Bye-bye.